Hey y'all, welcome to First Comes Love, Then Comes Marriage podcast. My name is Lindsey Jackson,
And I'm Aaron Jackson.
and we are season 6, second to last episode 21. And this is part 2 of the pregnancy journey. So we are talking love letters to our children and all the things that we know now, that we feel now, and we're talking to them as though they're adults. Right, because sometimes you have things you want to tell your kids, but it's not the right time yet because they're kids, they're young. But now we know it, and we're talking to them as adults. And we're talking about pregnancy now. Last episode, we left off, you were telling me why you named each of our children. Because I gave you the task, I give Aaron the task of naming our children. I relieve myself of this duty because I'm already doing a lot, right? I'm carrying a child. And I want to include you in this journey. So he names each and every one of our children, and I have veto power. I can say, no, that's not right, because some names, it wasn't, I don't think you said adventure, but it's some names will be wild. And I'm like, okay, no, not that name.
Yeah.
But tell me, how did you finish with action?
I did, but I'm gonna go back a little bit and just I am gonna talk about last episode, because one thing I realized after like re-listening to the episode, and one of the reasons why we're doing this season like we are, is me forgetting things.
It happened.
What is it called? Rose-colored glasses?
You have rose-colored glasses on after the trauma and after the trials. You're like, it's all good, but then it's like, actually, tell me the real.
Yeah, because like since I've been through it, it's kind of like, and so just having a conversation with you last week, it was like, oh, like memories start flashing back and stuff like that. And it's good that we're doing it so close to like, Liv being 19 months and everything like that, because who knows, in 30 years
what we will
it will just
remember.
Yeah, I feel like especially for me, it will be the highlights. What are the highlights? And
But
our headlines. What are the headlines? And like, you go to the story. So that was one of the things. So if in this conversation, if you do remember anything, feel free to like butt in, or like we could change it. It doesn't have to be about the naming and everything like that. So we talked about action. We talked about Jack. And I don't know if we got to action, but
we did a little bit. But tell me, the last thing that I remember is that you were also going to include the scripture that goes along with their name. So the thing about names, I feel like, is people always say like, well, what does it mean? And some people make a big deal out of names. Some people really don't care about their name. Some people, that sort of thing. And it's like, so and such means, God's grace, or, it'll be that's what's your naming. But I think a part of your naming process was also tied to scripture as well. So include that.
You just telling me what to do?
No, I mean, tell them what to say. Tell them all the things that
okay.
I mean, because this was a process, and granted, I was very pregnant, but I loved it.
Go ahead.
I loved it. Okay, go. Tell me about action.
No, you want to talk. Go ahead. The thing is, the reason why I keep going back to this is because everything comes from Jack.
Okay.
And so go back to the episode to listen to that explanation. I don't know if I edited it. I don't know how much I edited out. And action was his name. His name has a lot of intricacies in it. One, he is the second born, and I was the second born son. And so we have the same initials, A and J. And then we know that Major was part of Jack, so all of them were going to be named Major at all time. Action was almost going to be an Ajax, just kind of like what Jack was, but it was like he might be an Ajax, he might not be, but I knew I wanted to be an A. So there was I liked Arrow. I liked Errol Lynn.
I remember that.
Errol Lynn is the mixture of both of our names.
It's very black millennial where you mix people's names. I know a couple of my acquaintances who have done that, mix both of their names for their child's name.
Yeah. So, but what ended up happening was the thing, first of all, first and foremost, I just feel like people were like, you're not going to name your son Action. Right.
Yes, because Action was actually one of the names we were going to name Jack. I had a whole list of names, and I remember talking about it to people in the theater, and people saying, and this is another thing why we didn't even talk about how
That's what I was going to get into.
don't tell people what the name is, because no matter what, they're going to have a reaction to it. They might have known somebody that this way. They might have, they like it or they hate it, and it makes no never mind because they not the parents, And so I remember telling a coworker Jack, and that coworker saying, "Oh, don't do that. His name, people don't call him Jackass." Oh, okay. And I remember they were telling a coworker Action, and that coworker Action, that's crazy. Mind you, that coworker loves Action. And, because then when they hear it now, he's the coolest kid in the world. But, that was the mistakes that I don't want to say mistakes, but the mistakes that we made with Jack, I did not do going forward with any of our other children. So there were no naming, there was no gender reveal, there was none of that. But yeah, I remember people's reaction to Action, the name, and it was not great.
Yeah. And that's another thing about pregnancy that I do remember. I know but it's kind of like everybody wants to name your child, whatever it is. I still gotta do it playfully too, but I try to make sure that it is very playful, that it's very
And I feel
ridiculous.
Limited to siblings. Like, not just up and down naming random, because strangers would give me, some names and ideas and some advices, and that's a whole nother story. But yeah.
And so yeah, I was like, yeah, Action Jackson is just one, first and foremost, it's a really cool name. The other thing was about Jack. It was kind of like, I don't want the thoughts and prayers. I want actions. I want the people who are going to show up at the hospital, and the people who are going to just be there. And truthfully, isn't my love language like acts of service? I got to do like the survey again. But yeah, I think my love language is acts of service, which is probably why, when I think about it, it's easier for me to do stuff for people, like to cook for somebody or to anyways, that's neither here nor there. So action, um, action comes out of First John. It's 1 John 3:18, and it's like children. Do I remember? It's like action and truth, not with words, but with action and truth. Wait, let me look it up. Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. And that was the thing. It was kind of like, when it's go time, it's go time. And this and so every I guess it might be a black thing, but like when people start having kids, there needs to be a theme type situation. And now it's kind of like, now where people are like, okay, what's the thing? You have Jack Major Jackson.
Oh, the names when they're siblings.
Yeah,
like
Kiana,
or they're all named. Yeah, something like that.
And so they're like, what's the theme? And
So now we got pregnant with Shine.
yeah, and so my theme was, well, they're all going to be major, so that was easy. Major Jackson, all be the majors. But I was like, okay, after Jack, everything needs to be like a verb, like a reminder to myself to do something. So, with action, my reminder was to take action. If it is a situation where I need to move, then you need to move. So I do take all the kids as like a reminder to myself to do something. Um, and yeah, so that's action. How did you feel about the name? How did you feel about like after you birth? Are you totally were just like on board? What were your feelings during that naming process?
Action was a little blurry, I would
Mm.
say. Just, I mean, I don't want to be like he could have been named anything, but he was. I wanted a healthy, happy, living baby, and that was that. That was an action. I think I said this last episode was probably one of my easier pregnancies. He came out perfect. He's a perfect bundle of baby of joy.
Mhm.
And, you know, God tried, I mean, God did try. But he did for me. He tried to give me a more comforting pregnancy journey with action that I could not release all of the anxiety that I had coming from Jack. But yeah, action, the name of action was perfect and it suits him so perfectly because you know it's almost and I do think that you when you name and you use your words you speak life into them and we spoke that into him. I mean, we do this thing with all of our kids. We do the baby dedication, and we've
Yeah.
done it with each one of our children with Bishop, who is the pastor that I grew up hearing sermons from all of my life. And he does something and where you would pass the child from the mother to the father or the grandparents and the godparents. And either way, someone, I do believe it's the dad, speaks their name in their ear. And it's just like you speak life into them. And action is action. So I love that one. But yeah.
Okay. Um. Yeah, and then it goes into Shine. So Shine was born during the pandemic, uh, and 21, and so we're in Cali. We're in Lindsay's like the house that Lindsay grew up in, and I'm going through this crisis of basically how come I was not prepared for this just pandemic really. How come my job isn't one of the jobs like an essential worker? How come like why am I not a provider? When I've like always been raised to be like that. Because I'm in hospitality, and so like the first thing that went was like, and like yeah, the first thing I went was restaurants.
No, first thing I went was entertainment. But sure.
Yeah, but yeah, so like, so um, and then I started evaluating myself, and I was just like, whatever my next venture is, um, I need to be able to shine. So this one was it was actually quite easy for me. I just growing up, it was all I was always taught to be more humble. It's like be humble. And then as I got older and I started like just having my own awareness and own clarity, it's you have to or I have to be my own cheerleader. If everybody else is saying no, I am the one that has to say yes. I have to why add on to the majority when you could be it was actually recently Coco Golf when she won the French Open, this she said that the crowd was chanting the other lady's name. And so when she sat down and took a breath, she just started chanting her name to herself. Yeah, she was like Coco, Coco.
Yeah.
And so or she was like Coco, God. And there's like a video of her like chanting her name to herself to be like, yo, even if the world is against me, I have to be for myself. And I've met people like that. I have met like different servers, different people in industry that move up when they just people like they big themselves up in front of the boss or in front of something like It could be something like an email or something, and they'll be like, "Hey, did you see that email that I wrote?" Like, yeah, right. It got all the points, and I would look like, "Why are you?" Is to me, it's like this. Yeah, you were supposed to write the email, but no, those people get noticed more because they shine. They shine their light on themselves.
Well, I don't know about that. I feel like that's taking it to another level. You can shine without presenting all the accolades that you've done. You can shine just by doing what you're supposed to do. Like,
Yeah,
oh, is doing that, and she's doing that for herself. She's not doing that as a presentation to her boss.
yeah, but those are two different instances. One was an athlete, and this was in a more corporate setting.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I
so,
feel that.
an athlete no does because it's more individualized sport. But when it comes to corporations and stuff like that, I'm a manager, so I notice everybody. But if somebody is I'm constantly seeing or I'm constantly being reminded of the things that the good work that they're doing, um, then it's good. And it's not, and so I was like, I want to be like that. I want to be the person where my name is associated with good things. And especially like in the industry I am and me having like my beard and everything like that, it's like I can so easily, and I know this, like being black, I can so easily be looked in a negative, right? I could be the nicest person who smiles all the time, but like if one person says that,
Yeah. Or let you have one bad day.
yeah,
And it's like, whoa.
yeah, and so it's kind of like giving myself that equity. So Shine was it's always just like, yo, wherever I am, I need to be the best. I need to shine. I need to make sure that everybody sees what God sees in me. Um and then his scripture was it's first of all, the word shine is all throughout the Bible. Uh, and so you could just pick different ones, but the one I chose for shine is Isaiah 60 and verse 1. It says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." And it's like I am a prince. I am the son of a king. I do not need to be. There's a difference between like humble and almost being down on myself. And I don't need to be down on myself. I could be humble and I could be gracious and I could do all those things, but I don't need to darken myself for other people. I just need to always shine. And so that's where Shine Major Jackson comes from. It's like, okay, when I go to work, I got to make sure I shine. So that's Shine. It did.
I love Shine. I will say that you had Shine when you knew we were pregnant before we knew the gender.
Yeah.
And in myself, I thought I was having a girl.
Ah!
So when you presented Shine to me, I was like, that's beautiful. She's gonna shine, shine bright like a diamond. And then when we with Shine, again, no reveal of any sort. You were going away to New York. I was sad. We hadn't told anybody we were pregnant. And you just opened the envelope and she just wrote boy. And I don't want to say I was sad because I wasn't sad. I just wasn't prepared for that because I was like, this pregnancy is so different. I feel different. It must be a girl. It was so different because Shine is so different. From the moment he's like, I am not action.
Yeah. I'm not action.
So therefore, you ain't gonna feel me like action. I'm not gonna come out like action. I'm not gonna look like action, speak like action, act like action. I'm not action. And in the way that he shines. And so again, perfectly named for him. And he's our chocolate drop. So he is so it's people think of shine and it has to be light. He is a light because he's a light, not light skin. Yeah. He's the light. And so, you know, I love his smile. His smile is bright. I love that name for him. I had to wrap my mind around Shine being a boy, I think, in the very beginning, because of that. And then of course I was like, and you were like, yeah, like sunshine. It was like you knew it was gonna be a boy, like sunshine.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I do like stuff like that, like action being an AJ, and also I could say This is my sunshine.
And we say that all the time. You are my sunshine. And then it seemed like once I started saying sunshine, because mind you, again, we don't know any shines. And I was putting it on social media, my sunshine, all that. Everybody who already had a son started saying sunshine. And I never heard them say no sunshine before that. And then they calling their son sunshine. I just thought that was really cute, really fun for them.
And more about Shine is interesting about him is like he's the only one who's born in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And we were there. We danced it out. Like there's videos of us dancing before, and we're having a great time. We're listening to gospel music, and we go. So after you give birth to the baby, you do the skin to skin. We already did skin to skin, and we're going to the
labor and delivery to recovery, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you want to go?
Sure. It was a joyous time. It's a joyous time. We had
all black. Yeah, I remember that.
Nurses. Yep. We coming down the hall. My sister, she can't come into recovery anymore or postpartum because it's only one extra person. So we had to say bye to the doula, bye to Sunny Bunny, and we are about to enter into our room, and we hand our Shine baby off to the head nurse, and the head nurse looks at this baby and
Nicole.
Oh, you better know her name. Angel. We had angels around us. We had some angel nurses, and she said, "What's going on with the baby?" And I don't remember the exact words, but I know there was fear. She asked the
Oh yeah, I wanted to know your perspective
because my perspective is she asked the nurse at the time who helped clean up the room and the baby, and she's changing us over. She asked the nurse like, why is the skin this color? Fill me in. What happened? And she said, that's a black baby. That's normal. The white nurse, the head nurse, who's white, she said, no, it's not. And I just remember her. She took the baby inside. She took Shine. She trying to do this and that with the other.
Took Shine.
She took him, and then she said, we got to go. And the way that they wheeled me in next to the bed in the room, and then Aaron took off with my baby down the hall. I just saw them take the baby. Aaron dropped whatever bags I had, and they just ran down the hall. And I'm in this room with this new nurse, and I'm sitting there like, what? Like, I just had this baby hours ago, not even hours, an hour ago, what have you. And he was like, I'm gonna be back. Aaron was like, I'm gonna be back. Yeah. I was like, go with the baby. And, we pray, I'm praying and everything, but I don't know what Aaron feels. I know what I felt at that time, and I was like, God, you better take me. You take me now. And you don't take that baby, you take me. But that was my side of the story. Your side is obviously much better than all of my nerves, because I'm sitting there in this position of I can't move because I had an epidural. I have no feeling in my legs. I can't do anything but sit there, and no one is with me. And I don't even think, again, I'm not one to make the call to tell the family. I think Aaron did. You made the call to our family. It was like, something happened with Shine. He's in the NICU, and, pray for us or something like that. And then he's always the one to communicate, because I'm not.
It's a tough job.
I'm not aware. And I remember Sonny telling me later, like, I just left her. He was fine. I just left her. He was fine. And I was just like, okay, Shine. Okay, Shine. And I did. I kept saying that, like, okay, Shine. Okay. But that's my side.
Okay. We are going down this hallway. We listen to the gospel music. We say bye to Sunday, Lindsay's little sister. As soon as we touch the room, it goes down. The nurse named Nicole, head nurse, she goes, he's blue. She's like, he's blue. And then the nurse was like, no, he's like, she was like, did you check his O2?
Yeah, I don't know that.
And she was like, yeah. She was like, give me the test. So she tells her to get her a test. She pulls out this thing, test. She tests as soon. This test took like 4 seconds. And they started moving. I mean, like, It's literally like they rolled Lindsey in the bed.
They pushed me. I didn't even get to my bed. I'm still on the gurney.
And started going. So then she was like, the first test, the smaller test, like the portable version, that's what they did in a room. And then they moved over to another area, still around. We didn't go up to NICU yet. And he's in like the what's it called, the incubator?
Yes, I didn't see an incubator in the room.
It's a thing that it looked like the same thing that that they have in the NICU. It's like a capsule.
Oh, okay.
So okay, he's in that thing, and they do another test. I'm freaking out. I'm talking to God. I'm looking at Shine. Is a lot of people around him. I left Lindsey. I said I'll be back. I was like, I'm staying with Shine. I'm not. He's not leaving my sight. He's not leaving my sight. And he didn't. And I text the group chat. Something's going on with Shine. Everybody pray. And I love our family group chat because, like, our family be on it. Mm-hmm. And so then I pray, and I said, God, you can't do this again. I said, you can't. I know that, and we'll get to Liv's name. Because Liv is like, yo, like I live for Christ or I'll die for Christ, but I'm with Christ. So, but it's like, I know this, like my life isn't mine, but we can't handle this. He has to be okay. So then after that conversation, I said, he's going to be okay. After my talk with him, like, hey, we not doing this. I was like, okay, he's gonna be okay. Then they was like, okay, Mr. Jackson, he's not breathing well. Like he hasn't learned how to breathe.
Yeah. Didn't master his mouths yet. Yeah. And so essentially with our children, that's the other thing about preeclampsia. So I have preeclampsia with each one of my pregnancies. And we talked about pregnancy a little bit last episode, but that's the story. And with me, which is what I discovered, I could be as fit as possible. And doctors are like, you're fit, you're young. And they don't do the actual observation of me and noting that slowly my blood pressure does go up to a level that is unsafe. And so because of that, and because we learned that with Jack the hard wrong way, with each one of my pregnancies, I am induced at 37 weeks, which is considered full term. By full term, your baby has all of their functions, their limbs, they should be able to breathe, their lungs should be developed, they should be okay to come out of the body. Shine, but also with me, I want to see my baby as soon as possible. I'm like, just give me my baby. So they don't know exactly when you were conceived. They can just guess when you were conceived based off of, say, like size or your last date of your last period, things like that. So they'll always ask me, when was the last day of your last period? And sometimes I'll be like, I might cheat and say it was a long time ago or a little longer because I just want my baby. And this is something that, is not great. I'm like, I wouldn't suggest it. Doesn't sound good at all. You can't lie to your doctors, right? I'm being honest here because I'm being honest. This is what I would do because again, trauma, I just want my baby. Now with Shy, I don't think it would be, and not like weeks. It would be like a 1 or 2 days because I'm like, I think this is better. So he's 37 weeks. And unfortunately, we did have to induce a day early because I was taking more tests.
Yeah, you did.
And so my birthday came the day before my birthday. I went in for my normal stress test, which is where they just put something on your belly and you press a button every time you feel a kick or what have you. And they make sure everything's fine. And then you would do blood tests on me to make sure my liver was okay. And my birthday came. The very next day, I got the call from the doctor and said, hey, levels are high. We're doing it today. I wasn't supposed to come into the following day.
Yeah.
They said, come in today. Don't worry. Take your time. Come to the hospital, but come in today. So we're talking about a day's difference. And I don't know if a day's difference made the difference between his lungs not fully developing inside my body.
It wasn't his lungs developing. It was just the pattern of his breathing.
Right.
He wasn't breathing right. And uh, so I was like, it's something that Sean's godfather told me when he was like, yo, if you're crying, you're breathing.
Mhm.
And so I remember being in the elevator and I'm like, Shine, just keep crying. Like, let them hear you. Like, keep. And Shine was wild and yelling. And I was like, yo, sing, boy, sing.
And that was one of the reasons why he got discharged after 5 days.
Yeah.
So he was in the NICU for 5 whole days, 5 long days for me, really long days for me. And I don't know if anybody has never eaten or slept or thought in a manageable way for 5 days, but that was my 5 days. And literally, the nurse, I remember the day she got discharged, or the day before, when they told us he's leaving tomorrow. They said, "Oh yeah, he got to go. He is loud.
Yeah.
He is crying, and he is ready." That
Yeah.
that was like their steps in how.
Yeah, it was a night nurse. Her name was Allison.
She was really.
She was really nice. And the thing about this, it was kind of like I said, Lindsay not going back home without her baby. That ain't gonna happen. And so also Shine was born in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And so like me getting so after the 2 or 3 days that you have postpartum,
You get kicked out.
you get kicked out the hospital, you get discharged, even if your child is in the NICU.
Yep.
So it's like now I have to find a hotel in Beverly Hills.
Well, we both have jobs.
Yeah, during the pandemic.
During the pandemic.
And I ended up finding one that was at a decent price, but I was just like, man, this. But I was like, you know what? It's because truthfully, it's about Lindsay's mental health. Like, yeah, she can have the baby and everything like that, but if like she's traumatized throughout, like without repair, it's like certain things I could just protect her from. Certain instances that I want to protect her from. So it was like one of the instances was like not coming home without that baby. That's crazy. The fact that we had to get out the hospital without the baby was one thing. Uh, and so yeah, we were visiting Shine. The hotel was right down the street. We could visit in the NICU all at all times. So we were there all the time, just watching him. And in the NICU, the more nurses that are for the baby, that's what I learned. If you got like 3 nurses, that's how serious the condition is. And so at first I had 2 people on him, and then it went down to one. And then it seemed like he was sharing one, and I was like, okay, well, he's doing good because there were other babies that like had like 3 people dedicated. And yeah, and he graduated from the NICU and he came home, and that's our shiny bear. Um, so that was Shine. Um, and then and now let's go to the girl. And what's it called? TMI. I remember when Liv was conceived.
This is TMI.
But I do remember when Liv was conceived. So, because I said that's a girl.
Well, we did. I think we said, I said, oh, I want, we talked about this before. I want one more child. And this comes from a place of, I will never have enough children because we lost Jack. But I was like, well, one more child. And I'd like the baby to be a girl. It just, I have 2 boys. I'd like the baby to be a girl. It's a boy, of course I'm gonna be happy. I want the healthy child. But we talked about this. And I mean, talk about people that are all up in your business. Everybody wanted us to have a girl anyway. So that was a whole.
Also, I'm a clutch shooter, and she knows I'm a clutch shooter.
So here we are.
I've always been a clutch shooter. Liv. So,
what was your inspiration for Liv? Because you said you had no more boy names.
No more boy names
In your bag.
You will. Liv was going to be Shine's name if Shine was a girl. So Ari came up with Liv. Um,
And I liked Liv. I will say that I liked Liv. How did we find out she was a girl? Oh, again, no hoopla. We done with gender reveals. Took the test and we literally saw it on the paper on our phone, and it said female, fetus female. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen a female."
yeah, because don't keep
I was like, this can't be real. This can't be real.
funny, yeah.
But Liv was really Liv. I was like, how are we gonna spell it? Because I'm very phonetically like,
Yeah, Liv is the only one that I got the pass where I can spell her name wrong.
Yep. Just Ella. And then it was like, it's not short for anything because people are like, oh, yes, Olivia. No, this is Liv. And because it's Liv and it's so short and it's just like this, people confuse it. But sometimes I have to say her full name so that they know I'm saying this Liv Major. And,
Yeah.
you know, you can talk about it.
So yeah, saying Liv Major. That's first thing. And it went with Shine. It also coincided with the pandemic. It was um it was a reminder to myself that like I have to continue to live. Um like live in a major way, like be bold. It's like things like that. And so yeah, like I said, all of my children's names are reminders to myself, more personally to myself, not necessary for Lindsay either. Just like, okay, Aaron, you have to be bold. You have to live. You can't just get stuck in a rut and just go do mundane things. You have to live major. You have to shine major. You have to, take action. And this is the scripture that, because they all have scriptures attached to them, and also live is in the Bible a lot. Um, but this one is Romans, and it says, "If we live for the Lord, and if we die for the Lord. So whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord." And that's Romans 14:8. And that's the thing. Like after we lost Jack, I had to be on. It's the realization that like my life is not my life. Like once I dedicated my life to Christ, I gave that up. And it was like, oh God, you took my son away from me. It was like, no, I took my son. And it's a hard realization. Um, but also it gives me some solace because I'm like, solace. Uh, because the person that I am living for is God, and He is the all powerful, all knowing, all everything. Where I get to show kindness, I get to show His love, I get to show His power, um, and I live like that, and I can live through Him. So all of these things is why I named her Liz, and I wanted her name to be powerful, because action is a powerful name. Like these are things that are act like they are. And so I didn't want like a sweet name or anything like that. I wanted something with a little bit of a punch. And telling somebody to live is good. And also I didn't want to name her Live because backwards is evil. Evil. And so that's one of the reasons I really wanted to drop the E, and also to live in America and like live life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
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 And so that's the story of my baby girl Liv. Yeah.
I love it. I love Liv. I've always loved it. Yeah.
Anything else as we wrap it up?
As we wrap it up, I'm thinking about all the things that I could talk about with pregnancy because it's a lot. It is, but I also think that it's your own journey. So I struggled with why did anybody tell me? And then also we can't tell you too much. And I remember talking to one of my doctors afterwards, after we lost Jack, about it. And she's like, yeah, there is a fine line. I can't tell you everything because everything doesn't relate to you. You know, like I said, I don't have some things that I know, say like your sister has. Like I didn't have gestational diabetes, but I remember during the pandemic, we're both pregnant at the same time. This is another thing that I hope never happens to people, is being pregnant at the same time as someone close to you. It is hard. Because you just don't know what's going to happen. And it could be joyous, but it could also be very challenging. And I remember we're both pregnant and she wasn't feeling well. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go get my blood pressure cuff. And I'm like, this does not pertain to her. The blood pressure cup did not pertain to my sister because that's not her journey. So, you know, pregnancy is very individualized. But what I will say is what we said during the other episodes, and we've had many episodes on pregnancy, so go back. I will say, be an advocate for yourself. Yeah. That's the biggest one. You can't worry too much. It's your body. It's your body. It's your baby. You can't ask too many questions. It's your body. It's your baby. And if a doctor is annoyed by it, find a new doctor. Like, yeah. And that seems really crazy and hard to say, but it is what it is, because let something happen. I remember when we had the ectopic pregnancy and I went to the doctor who delivered Shine. And before we got pregnant with Shine, I was new to her. I said, something's wrong, you know, something's wrong here. And she was like, oh, you're fine. You're just bleeding. I was bleeding for 14 days, 16 days. Yeah. And it wasn't until I think something burst because I felt a big pain. I remember I was on that floor and I was like, something is wrong. I kept saying, and I said to her, and I said it to you, and Aaron took me back to her. And she said, oh, you have an ectopic. Then I got to go to the urgent care and I got to get the shot. And I got to do this and I got to do that. But had she taken me seriously the first time, we wouldn't have had this. And so that she did going forward. But, you know, all that to say
is to, be an advocate for yourself.
Be an advocate for yourself. So we're going to wrap this up. Yeah. So much to say about naming and pregnancy and all of that, but please talk to us as usual. Let us know what you think. You can DM us, First Comes Love, TCN.
Like, follow, subscribe on the YouTube channel at First Comes Love.
And email us, let's talk at firstcomeslove, thencomesair.com.
Talk to you Tuesday.